This may not look like much, but these are the dimensions for a drawer that I plan to put right over there under my lathe table. Now you can see my tools right there. They're in that little rack. I want to get rid of that rack and clear that area up. So I'm going to build a table, or actually a drawer, below my table that pulls out, and there'll be no bottom on it. There'll be a rack this way and a rack this way that tools will lay across. These are the rough dimensions for each of my tools. I just rounded them to the nearest ½ inch. And they'll lay in a rack right along here. And then I'll put another rack here that will allow my longer tools to lay this way. That's the plan. So I've got some lumber on the floor. I'm just going to use some 1x6s, and I'm going to split them down the middle and make this drawer. I filled my gap with Gorilla Glue. I got everything lined back up as straight as I can. I'm going to use this clamp as a spreader just to put a tiny bit of pressure on there, because my boards are a little bit warped and I want a nice flat edge here. Everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and put my screws in. Got my frame glued up. I'm just going to leave it in clamps so that the glue can dry. The frame is 44½ inches in length. My table is 45½, and the drawer slides require ½ inch on each side, and it is 23 inches deep. I'm adding a board toward the front of the drawer, and what this board is going to do is act like a tool guard. I'm going to have a cradle in this area here that the tools will lay in, and while they're in that cradle, as you're opening and closing the drawer, you don't want them to slide forward or backward and fall out of the cradle, hitting the floor and damaging the tool. The distance from the back of the drawer to the front of the tool guard is 17½ inches. Now, the way I arrived at that distance is, with the exception of my bowl gouge and one or two other really long tools, this spindle gouge is one of my longest tools. It measures a little over 17 inches. So when I put the cradle inside of here, that's going to keep it from coming out of the cradle. I will put the cradle pieces close enough together to where shorter tools can ride on them, and it can slide forward and backwards, but it will hit one of either the back of the drawer or the drawer guard, and that will help keep it from sliding all the way out of the cradle. I'm going to install my tool cradles about 3½ inches in from the back of the drawer and about 3½ inches in from the tool stop. And the reason why, this is one of my shorter tools, and if it goes all the way forward to the back of the drawer, the handle is still in the cradle, and if it goes all the way to the front of the drawer, the front of the tool is still in the cradle. So these can slide back and forth, but they're not going to come out of the cradle and fall to the floor. These are going to be my tool supports. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to use an 1/8 inch bit, and I'm going to drill down through them. I've got them taped together so that I can line the front of the tool up with the handle of the tool all the way down the length of these cradles. Now you see a couple of lines here, and what these lines are, my largest tool has a handle that is 1½ inches across. So I came down an inch and I drew a line the length of the board. Then I split that line in half and came down a half of an inch and drew a line the length of the board. You see these divots that I've placed in the board? They are 1 3/4 inches apart. That's going to give me a little room between each of the tools. The largest bit that I have is a Forstner bit that is 1 3/8 inches. So the majority of my tools will fit comfortably inside this diameter of a hole. There'll be a few that I'll have to make a little larger with the jigsaw. Should not be a huge issue. I also measured the steel on my tools, and the widest piece of steel that I had was 1 inch. So I grabbed a 1 inch Forstner bit. When I separate these boards, after drilling through with the 1/8 inch bit, I should be able to take this 1 inch bit and just go all the way down the backboard and drill some nice little cradles. Now these won't remove all the wood. There'll be a little curve there, but I'm just going to take a jigsaw and clean that up. I initially thought I was going to use a jigsaw to clean these up, but I just ran them through the table saw and cut a 1/2 inch off of each of them, and they turned out really nice. I'd like to thank everyone for joining in the shop tonight. This was a fun little build for me. I have been wanting to do some more projects like this where I make improvements to my shop, and not having that lathe stand over here against the wall with the tool handles pointing every different direction, and just being able to kind of organize everything, keep it in one place. I like the fact that there's no bottom to this drawer because any chips that I make are going to fall straight through. I have one more thing that I would like to do to this drawer, and that is the front section up here is wide open. I'd like to put a couple of dividers in here, or a couple of cradles to hold my longer tools. And I think I'm going to go ahead and measure out for those and get them installed so that I can have my spindle roughing gouge and my bowl gouge right up front. And beyond that, I'm excited. I think this is great. I put slow close hinges on it so I don't have to worry about it slamming the back of the cabinet and the tools bouncing around. I would really like to thank everyone who followed along with this, both on Facebook and here on YouTube. I want you guys to know that you are always welcome in my shop. Come back again and see me real soon. Take care. Have a wonderful evening.